Hello, welcome to Dancewise, releasing trauma through movement and expressive arts. Today, I'm going to be talking to Roche from Andover. Chris is a Voicework facilitator, and she's going to introduce herself through a poem she wrote as an adult student in Winchester.
I was an ordinary housewife, and although I had a nice life, there was a hole down in my soul. I had a yearning for some learning, for something to make me complete, for everything I thought I ever wanted now seemed suddenly obsolete. So I took myself to college to get myself some knowledge. There were 20 teenagers and me, but inside we were the same. We all enjoyed those drama games, and we gradually learned to be free. We put on plays from ancient Greece and performed a Shakespeare piece. We did improv, devising and dance. I was aiming to get to university, and now I finally had the chance. Since going to university, I've really learnt a lot. Philosophy and history, what is art and what is not. But what I have most enjoyed, though it made some quite annoyed, was acting like a zombie or a witch. For though it felt quite strange, it helped improve my range, and it really made a difference to my pitch. Letting everything hang loose made me feel like quite a goose. And who knew that by barking like a dog you can clear away the fog that's in your brain? And who knew that by acting like a pig you could make yourself feel big and forget about your problems and your pain? By sounding like a mouse and voicing from your bowels, you can convey emotions and entertain new notions and reconnect your body to your mind. For when you just let go and just go with the flow, the voice you've kept inside no longer needs to hide, and everyone can see and hear that you have put away your fear.
Hello, Chris. Nice to see you today. I think what's great about your story is you're showing it's never too late to pursue your dreams. If you have an idea and think, oh no, it's too late, I'm not going to do that. But you're a good example of somebody who, you were 40 before you completely changed route and changed into doing voice work. So perhaps you'd like to share your story with us.
Yeah, super. So yeah, I didn't realise until I was sort of went to secondary school. That's when the sort of imposter syndrome really set in. I didn't realise at the time that I had low self-confidence. It was only when I got to university and it sort of I explored all my psychological hang-ups and things that I really got to grips with it. But so you were low self-confidence, married young, ended up doing a job I hated. Got to midlife and just thought, no, got to be something more than this. Children were growing up fast. Sort of sat myself down, thought about it, thought, what have I always liked doing? Singing. So that's what I did. So I just did a short course, just a one-day course with a lady called Frankie Armstrong, who's been singing since the 60s. Fantastic lady. A course called Singing from the Soles of Your Feet, which I did, absolutely loved. Joined a gospel choir and a musical theatre company, loved that, but it wasn't enough. And then I decided that I'd never got to go to uni. I was going to go to uni, so I thought I was going to do something fun. So that's what I did. I didn't, because I'd failed, because of my low self-confidence, I'd failed all my exams. And so I had to do a drama course, a one-year drama course as an access course to uni, which I did, absolutely loved. Should have stuck with it really, but I was in a hurry. I was, thought I was getting old, stupidly, never too old. So yes, I did that for a year, and then I went to uni, did 3 years, first undergraduate voice course in England. And learnt all about the anatomy and physiology of the voice, and had a fantastic tutor who just excavated my voice really. And I read this book, which changed my life completely, Patsy Rodenberg. The Right to Speak, and this is what sort of made me realise that, about my background and everything, and how it affects the voice. And part of the reason I wanted to go to uni was because I just couldn't talk to people. I couldn't stand up in front of, if I went on a course or anything, or in a group of people, not socially, but in a professional environment, I just couldn't speak. I was just choked. So that was my main aim, which gradually getting over now. Thanks to Zoom. So I did that, and then just bit by bit really, and then it got to it took me a while to decide where I wanted to go from there, because I just thought that would be it. I'd do the degree and that'd be it, but wasn't it? Your horizon just expands when education is just the most wonderful thing. But I couldn't decide what I wanted to focus on, so left it a few years while my girls went to uni. And then 2017 I went back to Frankie Armstrong and did the natural voice choir leaders course, which I loved. And that's just basically the ethos is that everybody can sing. Might not be beautiful, but everybody can sing. It's your birthright. That really spoke to me. And sadly I just started running my own voice workshops, singing workshops, with all these beautiful natural voice songs that all the other leaders had written, and the pandemic hit, so
The spanner in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always been quite open to opportunity, just grab opportunity with both hands. I met this wonderful lady who recommended Chloe Goodchild, and I've just done her naked voice course, which was just absolutely mind-bogglingly fantastic, because it just brought together everything, all the strands that I've been searching for. It's just the perfect way to go, I think, for me, because it's spirituality and voice work. It just brings it all together. So that's where I'm headed now.
That was just a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
That was beginning of June. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
So has the course, your latest course, made you change direction again slightly? I mean, I noticed that you said that you shouldn't have given up the drama. Why was that? Or do you find you're now going to incorporate that?
voice is still my journey. I know that, because it's just embedded in who you are. I would have liked to go to drama school, but Chloe reframed it for me on this course, and she said, that the whole Western world ethos is about performing, and it shouldn't be. It's perform is derived from comes through your through form. So we shouldn't be thinking I want to perform. You should just be thinking I want to be me, which is what it's all about, being yourself, being authentic. So it would have been nice to go to drama school, but I don't think, to be honest, I don't think my fragile psychology could have taken the rejections. So it's probably just as well that I didn't.
And so are you thinking of doing the naked voice work, incorporate that into your vocal studies, and the voicework facilitation you're going to be doing?
I've always struggled with needing to express myself, but not really. Just at the start of my journey, coincidentally, because this naked voice course was in Stroud, and at the very start of my journey I met a lady, and in Stroud, funny enough, I went to Stroud to meet her, and I just stood in a room and told her everything. I was struggling, this was right at the start, and I was struggling to sing in my higher register, to sing words in my higher register. So she basically just got me to stand in the room and just sing vowels, and I could reach as high as you like, which was fantastic. And this is very much the ethos of Chloe's. It doesn't have to be words, it doesn't have to be accompaniment, it's just your own, how you feel. That's her key question, is how are you feeling and how does that sound? And that's just speaks to me. It's just and I was struggling to know how to relate that to people, or how to explain, but she just makes it so accessible. So it's sort of brought it all together, really.
So I think there is that training, isn't there? There is the naked voice training. She's
wanting to expand that now, I think. I think that'll be the next step. If there is a course specifically to be a facilitator, then that's what I'll be doing.
You have a poem that summed up, how you were feeling before you did your training, before you went to uni, and the feeling of lack of confidence and how difficult that is for those of us who struggle to speak. I think that's it's something which people who can speak easily, they probably don't realize how difficult it is to speak when you've got that particular
exactly and the fact that it's not just with the trauma thing, it's not just your trauma, it's singing just accesses universal trauma, which is fantastic, because the naked voice course that I went on was just the first time I've ever walked into a room and just felt completely at home with a complete bunch of strangers, and we were all just singing our pain, and it was just fantastic. We spent the whole week crying, but it was just amazing.
So people who may be listening to this who are not from the dance background or not from voice background, that they may be coming from the psychological, psychotherapy, or what would you like to say to those people who perhaps haven't come across a therapy which is not a talking therapy, not talking about dancing setting? Perhaps you could explain, and how that touched you, how different it is as a therapeutic model, to have being able to access the voice,
I think it's non-verbal expression is just the most powerful thing, because you can feel better without having to explain yourself, having to dredge up old trauma. The course that I'm doing a HiCAT course at the moment. HiCAT, holistic integrated creative arts therapy, and the ethos of that is that, you know, the arts can promote change without, you know, without the talking, without the history. You acknowledge the history, you know, it's not about burying and ignoring it, it's just about moving on. Basically it's moving on, creating ways to develop and grow. And I think singing does that, voice work does that, because by just the whole process is, you know, the breathing and the relaxation. Breathing is key to a lot, you know, things.
So do you incorporate breath work in when you work with people, or when you will be working with people? Is breath work part of it?
Definitely, yeah. Breath work and alignment, it's just so grounding. It just grounds you, and then you sort of just got to let go, really.
So for somebody who didn't know what it felt like to be in alignment, can you explain what that actually means?
Yeah, it's sort of like,
often used, but
if you've ever done yoga, it's basically mountain pose. So it's basically, imagine that your feet are on a hot sandy beach and they're sinking into the sand, and then basically softening up from your toes to your crown. Obviously you're still standing, but you're not rigid, there's no tension. It's getting rid of that tension. It's the tension that blocks everything. So just, yeah, soften your knees, tuck your pelvis, open your chest, imagine a light shining from your chest. That was the other thing that Chloe's given me, was just to recognize your own divinity, just to know that you are enough, and, you know, whatever you believe in, it's, you know, God, the universe, it's in you, you know, you just got to let it out, basically.
Shine,
yeah.
Baby, shine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now you're going to be looking at working in workshops with people. How do you envisage you're going to be working with people if they wanted to find out more? Do you have a website yet?
Not yet, no. Relaxation, grounding, alignment, core muscles, which is where the alignment comes in. You need to engage your core muscles. There's a lot of mixed terminology in voice work, but it's basically just, my children describe it as my dog voice.
Your dog voice.
You've got to use your dog voice. You've got to just go for it. You just, you know, like if you're shouting at somebody.
I thought you meant you were going to bark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But without tension, basically. And just recognize that singing doesn't come from the throat. It's, you know, it shouldn't be any tension here. That's yeah. I need
and
to
will it be mostly one-to-one work you'll be doing, or will it be groups, small groups?
Both, yeah. Anybody that uses their voice, which is everybody really, or that would like to be able to use their voice better. So production and projection was my starting point. So, you know, where your voice comes from, how to make it more stronger and resonant, or just using it for free expression. Free expression is what helped me, because I didn't, you know, there was things that I didn't realize were in there that the voice can help let out. Yeah.
So did that training, as you said, you didn't, things that you didn't know were in there, the voice had to give expression to. Is that like different parts, like different inner children, or different bit of personalities?
Different roles. I mean, singing, one of the modules I did at uni was between speech and song. So we singing non-English words, singing foreign songs from other countries, other cultures, because it switches your brain off. So it makes you when you're not using your rational brain, you're free to express yourself, and it helps you just reframe things, look at things from a different perspective, and just explore, really. Yeah, can be really therapeutic.
And do like singing in gibberish as well, can clear the energy.
Yeah, or even just speaking. We had lots of conversations in gibberish, which is good for articulation and things, you know.
Have you got any that could be somebody here or listening who's thinking, oh, you know, they could like do the tip how to get some tension out? Can you give us like a quick...
Yoga is very good. Alexandra technique is very good, and I've just come across the most wonderful new, I don't know how new it is, thing called Shintaido, which is the new way. So it's a combination of Aikido and Taekwondo. So it's based on martial arts, but it's also very spiritual, and it uses a voice, and it just incorporates, and it's just the most amazing. It's things like pretending to be seaweed, and because it's visual, because it uses visual cues, it's very accessible. So not just for children, but you know, so yeah, we basically stood in a room and pretended to be seaweed. I mean, that just automatically invokes freedom of movement, and yeah, so things like that. So Shintaido, I think, is brilliant.
Shintaido, never heard of Shintaido.
No, me neither. No, yeah. One thing one of my tutors said was, well, the same tutor, he was Canadian, and we were all English, and he said, unstaple your arms. We were all sort of stood there rigid with fear. Unstaple your arms, let your arm, you know, just gestures, really, gestures more than, yeah.
So I think it's so interesting how different cultures move differently, their energies are different and express differently, and even just within Europe, there's such a vast range of how the Brits are, and compared to, say, the Italians.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You think of all the wonderful Italian opera singers, and you know, yeah.
So, have you got any? I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'd like to do a little example now. Could you tone something or make a sound, or so that we can give it, just see the sort of thing you would perhaps invite one of your clients to do?
So I would probably start off with, if it was a group, then you'd be in a circle and you'd introduce yourself. And if you wanted to just speak your name, that'd be fine. But ideally you would sing your name and just move from speech to song. Chris. So just changing the pitch and the volume, the texture, and then expand that. So that's what we did. The bigger the circle, obviously, the better. Cross the circle, speak to everybody in the circle, and just explore your name. If you don't want to speak words, you can just speak vowels. So I'll just give you a little example. So
please do.
So to get in the zone, because the silence is just as important as the sound. So you just need to tune into yourself, find out how you're feeling, and however you're feeling, there's a sound for it. It's primordial, it's non-verbal, it's before we could speak, you know, we cry out in pain or joy or whatever, and that's what your voice is for, basically. Something like that.
Thank you. Yes, and I think it just really shows. Unfortunately, the microphone wasn't doing you favors, but I think
No.
get the idea.
Yeah.
But it just serves to show, doesn't it? Whatever our conditioning is and our patterning and our wounding, which covers over our authentic nature, when that authentic self is allowed to just even a little crack, like a plant in the crack in the pavement, once it makes that little movement through the crack, then the flower can burst open, and it just transcends whatever the identification is with all the conditioning and the wounding. And it's definitely, you can just see people who are like this and, you know, very timid, and then suddenly
and you don't even know where it comes from. You know, we were all given a poem on the course, and I looked at mine. And triads as well, and we broke into triads every day, and basically you just have two people that just witness, you know, no judgment, just witness you, and whatever you need to express at that time, they're just there to hold their space. So we all got given this poem, and at first I thought, doesn't really speak to me. As soon as I stood up and just started sounding, floodgates, you know, and it just, you don't know where it comes from, but it's all in there. It's all locked in there.
I think the heart recognizes that.
Yeah.
That, doesn't it? And that's where the tears come from.
Yeah. And it's having that permission as well to just let go and feeling in a safe space. And
So is there anything you'd like to share with us, you know, in addition to what you've already said? Any nuggets or experiences you've had which you'd like to share in addition?
Never think you're too old. Never be afraid of what people think, because people are too busy worrying about themselves to worry about how you feel or think. It's just all in your head. Don't listen to your mind. Switch off your mind. Just be aware that, you know, there is a light in there, and it's your light, and you need to let it shine.
Wonderful, yes. And have your daughters witnessed this transformation? Have they noticed?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my youngest one likes to sing as well. Yeah, I think so.
That's great. Good. And so if anybody wants to get in touch with you and find out more, how should, I'll put it in the description when I upload, but is there a particular way to contact you, or will once you get your website up? Well, I'm sure you'll have many people wanting to work with you, because I think especially if you're feeling vulnerable or lacking in confidence, to go to a traditional teacher, see, it can be quite intimidating, because you think, oh, they've got this perfect way of doing this, that and the other, and they've never had any issues, etc. We can project all sorts of things onto the teacher. To actually know that you know, you've had that lack of confidence with voice work yourself, that'll give them much more. They'll know that you have the empathy to understand where they're at with it, and you'll be able to you'll be able to really help those people, I think.
I hope so.
That's fantastic. So thank you so much, Chris, for talking to
Thank
me.
you very much.
And I shall, catch up with you anon.
Super. Oh, namaste.
Summertime and living was easy. Fish that were jumping, the cotton was high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't I find it hard for me to carry on. My world is empty without you, babe. My world is empty without you, babe. Light a candle, watch the flame flickering. Close your eyes, hear your heart whispering. I'm in my happy place, following my imagination, using nature as inspiration. My soul is at peace, all worries